भगवान की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय। श्री कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। श्यामल कोमल कृष्ण मुरारी मोहन मुरली धारी। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। इरे इरे कार्तिदय कोंदुम करुमुगल वंदरे गोविंदा। इरे इरे कार्तिदय कोंदुम करुमुगल वंदरे गोविंदा। पूरियन गोपियन इरे इरे पूरी आदिनाथ परियानंदम। द्रौपदी मानते करुणय कातुने तुरय कलंद मुकुंदा। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। श्यामल कोमल कृष्ण मुरारी मोहन मुरली धारी। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। कंसने कोंद्रा करुतुयवेंद्र वसुदेवन मगंधीर चेदाये। कंसने कोंद्रा करुतुयवेंद्र वसुदेवन मगंधीर चेदाये। मनिलुम किंद्रा मरमर्पिनंदा कार्तुने अखिल में अवतारो। जगत गोविंद निन तिरुनामम करुणे कदले श्री हरि। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। श्यामल कोमल कृष्ण मुरारी मोहन मुरली धारी। नंदकुमारा नवनीत चोरा ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। ताम्रे कन्ना श्री हरि। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय। श्री कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय।
मने लाग्यो तमारो खोद श्रीरन चोट होदा खुरवासी। मारी अखिया दर्शन प्यासी।
मने लाग्यो तमारो खोज श्रीरन चोट होदा खुरवासी। मारी
अखिया दर्शन प्यासी
મને લાગ્યો તમારો ખોજ શ્રીરન છોડ ઓ ઠાકોરવાસી મારી અખિયા દર્શન પ્યાસી
तारा दर्शन करवा काज रे मारू हयू बल के आज रे
તારા દર્શન કરવા કાજ રે મારું હૈયો વલ કે આજ રે
तू सांभर सांभर रन जो जगना स्वामी मारी आरजू अंतरयामी मने लाग्यो तमारो खोज श्रीरन चोट हो ठाकुरवासी मारी अखिया दर्शन प्यासी
મને લાગ્યો તમારો ખોજ શ્રીરન છોડ ઓ ઠાકોરવાસી મારી અખિયા દર્શન પ્યાસી
मारी आरती अंतर धर जोरे मारी आशा पूरन कर जोरे
મારી આરતી અંતર ધરજો રે મારી આશા પૂર્ણ કરજો રે भगवान की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय। श्री कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय।
कृष्ण कृष्ण मनमोहना चित चोर गोपी जीवना।
कृष्ण कृष्ण मनमोहना चित चोर गोपी Krishna Bhagavan ki Jai. Pavanasuta Hanuman ki Jai. Shri Ambe Mata ki Jai. Shri Krishna Lal ki Jai.
Om Namo Narayanaya to revered Mataji and fellow devotees. My topic for this morning is Lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. One may well ask, why is the Gita such an important text and scripture in Hinduism? There are two main reasons for this. Firstly, because it is a summary of the Upanishads, and secondly, because Sri Adi Shankaracharya wrote an introduction and commentary on each verse of the Gita. Professor D.S. Sharma, in his book Essence of Hinduism, states that the authoritative sources of Hinduism are divided into two classes, the Shruti and the Smriti. The Shruti is the primary authority and the Smriti is the secondary authority. Shruti literally means that which is heard and realized. Great rishis are said to have heard the eternal truths of religion and left a record of them for the benefit of others. These records are called the Vedas. The most important part of the Vedas are the Upanishads. They form the foundation of Hinduism. Because they come at the end of the Vedas, they are also referred to as the Vedanta. A summary of all the Upanishads is contained in the Bhagavad Gita. Thus, the reverence for the Gita. Over the centuries, Hinduism has produced many great saints and sages. The most important are Lord Buddha, Adi Shankaracharya, and Swami Vivekananda. Sri Adi Shankaracharya coded and explained the Vedas and the main philosophy of Hinduism, known as Advaita Vedanta. He travelled the length and breadth of India and broadcast these truths around the 6th century. He set up various ashramas and schools and initiated many disciples, leaving a legacy that we still follow today. Because he was such a great teacher and considered an incarnation, and he gave great importance to the Gita, we follow it today. Thus, this is a very brief introduction as to why we consider the Gita as the primary text of Hinduism. The Gita has 700 verses and forms part of the Mahabharata, which has more than 20,000 verses. It is a dialogue between Sri Krishna and his disciple Arjuna, and this dialogue takes place on a battlefield. It must be emphasized that the Gita is not a scripture about war. Not a single commentator in the history of Hinduism has ever stated that the Gita is about war. Sri Krishna represents our higher self and conscience, and Arjuna represents the human in each of us. The Gita is generally divided into three main parts. It has 18 chapters. The first 6 chapters focus on karma and action, and the last 6 chapters on the philosophy of the Gita, and the bridge between them is meditation and devotion. It begins with the despondency of Arjuna, and each of us, depending at which stage we are in our lives, face a similar crisis. If we are students, we become uncertain about our future and ability to face tests and exams and our future. As householders and parents, we become anxious and desperate about our personal lives and relationships, and also the society and times in which we live. We are surrounded by crime, disease, and political instability. As those in positions of leadership, we are sometimes searching for compromise in truth and integrity. Thus, the Gita begins with Arjuna's refusal to act and his desire not to face his problems, but to cover up and hide away from whatever is affecting him. I want to focus only on 3 main lessons from the Gita, and these are self-confidence, concentration, and having a goal. It must be emphasized that each of us have tremendous power within us. Thus, Sri Krishna simply and clearly states that you are your own best friend and your own worst enemy. In terms of all the modern writers, motivators, and psychologists, positive thinking and action is of vital importance to our well-being. The backbone of this is having self-confidence, as emphasized over and over again by Swami Vivekananda. But it is easily said than done. How does one obtain self-confidence? There are many important factors that can help you to obtain self-confidence, and this is how we can increase confidence in ourselves. Firstly, we must take responsibility of our time. From the greatest scientists to the greatest thinkers, writers, and sportsmen, we all have the same 24 hours per day, and it depends on us how we manage our time. Time management itself is a separate subject on its own, but we must accept that our time is within our control, and it depends on us how to be productive in using this time. Secondly, we must take control of our desires and thoughts. We inherently know that which is good and bad. Wherever we are in our lives, we must make conscious decisions to have the highest morals and ethics and strive towards this. Thirdly, we must take responsibility of our behavior. We cannot behave in a manner which is embarrassing to ourselves, and we set our own standards in this regard. We behave in a manner that creates a sense of self-loathing within us, but we must have the power to control this behavior. No change takes place overnight. We should look for and plan small, incremental, manageable changes and remind ourselves that Sri Krishna was a friend to Arjuna. Thus, you have to treat yourself with love and respect. Fourthly, you must take responsibility over how you communicate with those around you. Your tone and method of speaking is important. Again, how you speak to yourself and your friends and your family and work colleagues all help to improve your self-confidence. One must not be overly critical of oneself and those around us. Fifthly, you are responsible for the values you wish to live by. You know the background from which you came and the ethical and moral foundation you wish to strive for, and this is linked to your behavior. So once again, you take responsibility of your behavior. You will not look for excuses and blame others for your weaknesses. From the greatest professor to the richest man and the most accomplished sportsperson, each has to take responsibility for his own actions. Finally, you must take responsibility over your own happiness. You must decide to be happy and work towards this. You will agree that you have all these powers within you. You can work at your own pace, and you are only accountable to yourself. Yes, you can love and respect those around you, but you wish to increase your own self-confidence, and you will raise yourself by yourself and consider your mind as your friend. The second very important lesson from the Bhagavad Gita is concentration. Sri Krishna states that if you focus all your powers and energies on Him, He will guide you and protect you. And Sri Krishna represents your own deity and Ishtadevata. Daniel Goleman has written an excellent book on focus, and Swami Vivekananda has stated that the difference between individuals and why one is greater than the other is the ability to concentrate. What one means by focus is to keep your entire mind on a particular subject. Again, whether as a student, sports person, or business person, whether in a relationship or carrying out your japa and spiritual practices, concentration is absolutely necessary. It is of vital importance not to be easily distracted and to train your mind to follow a disciplined routine. From the most simplest tasks, like what time to wake up and what to eat and when to carry out certain duties, you have to take charge of your mind and stick to the decisions that you make. There is a huge gap between making a decision and executing the decision you have made. Thus, it is easy to get caught up in daydreams and fantasies and excuses. One of the best ways to improve your concentration is to have a routine every morning and evening for 5 to 10 minutes to do your sadhana and repeat the name of God for a fixed number of times. This must be done timelessly and punctually every day, no matter what. The final lesson of the Gita I wish to talk about is having a goal. One must attempt to have the best and highest goal in one's life. As Swami Vivekananda stated, if the person with an ideal makes 100 mistakes, then a person without an ideal will make 1,000 mistakes. To strive towards a goal, one's head, heart, and hands must work in unison. And this is the 4 yogas that Sri Krishna explains in the Gita. We all have to do some work every day. We all have emotions and thoughts, but they must be focused onto the goal that we choose for ourselves. And if we need assistance or clarity regarding the goal, these days with social media, we have access to a mountain of information, and there are many persons who are easily approachable to guide us. We have often heard that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and taking that step is a major decision. But as Mataji has often stated, that if you take that first step, God will take 100 steps to assist you. Thus, Arjuna approaches Sri Krishna with respect and humility and puts forth so-called legitimate reasons to Sri Krishna as to why he cannot carry out his duty to fight. Similarly, we provide so-called good excuses as to why we do not act to improve ourselves. We live in difficult times, and non-action, renunciation, and refusal to act is not an option. One has to act, to make decisions, and to execute them, and treat oneself with kindness, respect, patience, and understanding. The teachings of the Gita is a lesson we can all follow. However, in the end, Sri Krishna states to Arjuna that he has given to Arjuna the wisdom that is needed to act, but Arjuna has the freedom to choose and decide his own future. Likewise, finally, we all have the same freedom to act in our own lives. Unfortunately, there are too many factors that attempt to curb this freedom, whether it be friends or family or organizations or institutions. Thus, you must read the Bhagavad Gita for yourself, and then you will appreciate what a valuable scripture it is, and that it is applicable universally, and not only for Hindus. Thank you. Om Namo Narayana.
Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuiramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Atha Dvadasho Adhyayah Bhakti Yogaha Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yuktaye Bhaktastvam Paryupasate Ye Chapyaksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittamaha श्रीभगवान् उवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतास्ते मे युक्ततमामताः ये त्वक्षरम् अनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गम् अचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थम् अचलं ध्रुवम् संनियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति माम् एव सर्वभूतहिते रताः क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि संयस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषाम् अहं समुद्धरता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो माम् इच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थम् अपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिम् अवाप्स्यसि अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगम् आश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानम् अभ्यासात् ज्ञानात् ध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागस्त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्र करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःख सुखक्षमी सन्तुष्ट सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षशुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभ परित्यागी भक्तिमान् ह्यः स मे प्रियः समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मान आपमानयोः शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु समसंग विवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिर् भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः। ये तु धर्म्यामृतम् इदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते। श्रद्धाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः। ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम 12 ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
अधरं मधुरं वदनं मधुरं नयनं मधुरं हसितं मधुरं हृदयं मधुरं गमनं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं वचनं मधुरं चरितं मधुरं वसनं मधुरं वलितं मधुरं चलितं मधुरं रमितं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं वेणोर्मधुरोर्वेणोर्मधुरं पाणिर्मधुरं पादो मधुरो नृत्यं मधुरं सत्यं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं गीतं मधुरं गीतं मधुरं भोक्तं मधुरं सूक्तं मधुरं रूपं मधुरं तिलकं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं पर्णं मधुरं तरणं मधुरं हरणं मधुरं रमणं मधुरं वमितं मधुरं शमितं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं कुञ्जा मधुरा माला मधुरा यमुना मधुरा वीची मधुरा सलिलं मधुरं कमलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं गोपी मधुरा लीला मधुरा योक्तं मधुरं मोक्तं मधुरं दृष्टं मधुरं श्रेष्ठं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं गोपा मधुरा गावो मधुरा यष्टिर्मधुरा सृष्टिर्मधुरा दलितं मधुरं फलितं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपते अखिलं मधुरम्। ॐ श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान् बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की गले में बैजंती माला माला बजावे मुरली मधुर बाला बाला श्रवण में कुंदर झलकाला झलकाला नवद के नंद श्री आनंद कंद मोहन ब्रिज चंद राधिका रमण बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की गगन सम अंग कांति काली राधिका चमक रही आली आली लखन में काले बनमाली बनमाली भ्रमर सी अलग कस्तूरी तिलक चंद्र सी झलक ललित छवि श्याम प्यारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी नहाते प्रगट भई गंगा गंगा कलुष कली हारिणी श्री गंगा गंगा स्मरण ते होत मोह भंगा मोह भंगा बसी शिव शीश जटा के बीच हरे अगति चरण छवि श्री बनवारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की आरती कुंज बिहारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की श्री गिरिधर कृष्ण मुरारी की कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवन् भवानी सहितं नमामि भवन् भवानी सहितं नमामि मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्ष मङ्गलाय तनोहरि सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते नारायणी नमोस्तुते.
Om Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters and brothers. Prayer takes our minds away from the troubles of the world. We feel peaceful knowing that God is eternally with us. Sri Krishna Bhagavan says in chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, "Let a man raise himself by his self. Let him not drag himself down, for he himself is his friend and he himself is his enemy. He who sees me everywhere and sees all in me, he never becomes lost to me, nor do I become lost to him." When we repeat God's name with faith in the power of his holy name, then God always saves and protects us. May we feel the presence of God's unseen protective power within us. May we make the habit of praying regularly. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरि ओम तत्सत्. जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय. महामाय की जय. स्वामी जी महाराज की जय. गंगा मात की जय. महावीर स्वामी जी की जय. सर्व ऋषि मुनियों की जय. पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव की जय. श्री कृष्ण कन्हैया